Hello, another Wednesday, another weekend reading. It's Thursday if you're watching this, though, or maybe Friday, or maybe some other day, or maybe it's another Wednesday, but whatever, I'm filming it on Wednesday, so it's Wednesday and it's weekend reading. So, let's get into it. What did we have last week? Well, last week you might remember that my choices were Reign of X, Volume 1, which is a pretty good read. Probably would make more sense if I had read the whole X of Swords story, but it hasn't come out yet. Speaking of which, King in Black. This is just its own little mini-series about the big Venom event that his book has been building up to for a while. There have been a lot of tie-ins to it recently, and now everything about it is explained. This is a pretty good read. My choice for pick of the week was Future State Superman, which, as you can see, this is a big book. There was a lot here, and it was my choice for pick of the week, and it was a correct choice because this was my favorite. This is the one I liked the best, and it was a bit all over the place, but it was a lot of the quantity made it good. There was enough in here to find some good reads, and there's, like I said, there's a lot of stuff. It deals with Superman's son Jonathan Kent now acting as Superman in Metropolis because Clark Kent is gone, and it tells a story about where he makes a mistake, where he ends up getting tricked into shrinking Metropolis into like a sort of bottle city of Kandor type of situation. Then there's another story that talks about where Clark Kent is. He's now trapped on War World, where Mongol is forcing him to fight in gladiator battles. There's another story that takes place even farther in the future, where Lex Luthor is the leader of his own planet, and Lois Lane and Superman have to kind of confront him as representatives of the United Planets, and it's sort of like an allegory for what our modern day politics are and how people are easily manipulated by their politicians and their leaders and shit. There's another story about Kara, Supergirl, although it's supposed to be farther in the future, she's now calling herself Superwoman, and how she is she's now living on the moon, and she's basically leading a colony of humans that live on the moon, people who have left Earth and for some reason decided to colonize the moon. She set up her own Fortress of Solitude there. What else? Oh yeah, there's a Legion of Superheroes storyline about how the Legion of Superheroes, something happened where they were betrayed by one of their own and broke up, and this is the story of them trying to get back together and try to, reform and make good on what went wrong with them. And then it ends with a great story about called the House of El, and it basically deals with a future where Superman's descendants are now fighting invaders. It deals with this thing that happened in the Green Lantern Future State storyline, where they were fighting hordes of warriors who serve somebody called the Red King, and so they have to deal. It's basically Superman's descendants fighting off this invading army on their Fortress of Solitude on the moon. So it was a pretty good story, just a one-off thing. And then there's a bunch of backup stories involving Midnighter, the Guardian, Mr. Miracle, and a new version of the Black Racer. And they're all somehow kind of tied into, sort of a little bit loosely, the two Superman storylines, either the Bottle City of Kandor one, or the one where Superman's fighting as a gladiator on War World, or even a little bit of both. So there was a lot there, and it was all pretty good storytelling. It was interesting. You're getting little bits and pieces of stories with all these future state things, so I don't know what completely to make of all of it. But Future State Superman was a good read. I would have liked more of the older Superman, future of him on War World. That's a hard one to do. It seemed like an interesting story, and I would have liked more of it. But what they did give was pretty good. So that was last week. What do we got this week? Well, let's see. We have The Goddamned, Book 2. It's been a while since Book 1 of this came out. I feel like it's actually been years since I read it. But, finally we got a sequel. Let's see what it's about. In the time before the Great Flood, hidden high atop a mountain, there is a secret world, one without men and their savagery. Here, the holy sisters of a secret nunnery live in a new Eden, rearing their flock of orphan girls to embrace their future as blessed brides of the sons of God. But when Shari and Jael, two girls on the cusp of flowering, uncover what it truly means to become a bride, they realize there's only one way to escape the bonds of holy matrimony: run like hell. The award-winning team of writer Jason Aaron and illustrator R.M. Guerra return to the stark and brutal world of the Goddamned for the second chapter of their biblical noir epic. Collects the Goddamned, the Virgin Brides, 1 through 5. If you're not familiar with the Goddamned, it takes basically biblical history and tells a very more violent, brutal version of it. The first one involved Cain, and I think it had something to do with Moses too. It was very weird. But yeah, should be a good read. Jason Aaron's usually a solid writer, so. Next up, another Future State. Future State, Batman, Dark Detective. Normally these are at the end because they're my choice for pick of the week, but not this week because I got something better. But this one I think will be good. So it might end up being the choice of the week. We'll see. Let's see. Discover the dark destiny of Gotham City. In the not-too-distant future, a sinister force has invaded the city of Gotham, and it's a power unlike any the Bat family has faced before. The Magistrate control everything: commerce, curfew, civil liberties, and their constant surveillance leaves Gothamites with nowhere to hide, even in their own homes. Where did the Magistrate come from? Who are the leaders behind this insidious paramilitary power force, and who can stop them? Powerhouse, and who can stop them? With Bruce Wayne forced underground, it's up to his remaining friends and allies to help stave off the brutality of the Magistrate or die trying. New specialty trains are erected to transport undesirables from the city streets to incarceration, and Catwoman is on the case to send one off the rails. Tim Drake and Spoiler on a one-way mission to destroy an air convoy that would make the Magistrate's forces effectively immortal. Some heroes, like Harley Quinn and Red Hood, are manipulated by the Magistrate to do their evil bidding, and even Superman himself proves no match for the corrosive kryptonite caverns. The action-packed volume of the Future State Saga this action-packed volume of the Future State Saga, I gotta read better, collects stories from Future State Dark Detective 1 through 4, Future State Batman Superman 1 and 2, Future State Catwoman 1 and 2, Future State Harley Quinn 1 and 2, and Future State Robin Eternal 1 and 2. These stories are brought to life by a cavalcade of tremendous talent, including Eisner Award winner Mariko Tamaki, Michael L. Prince Award winner and MacArthur Fellow Jean Luen Yang, award-winning writer Ram V, fan favorite scribe Joshua Williamson, and amazing artists such as Dan Mora, Otto Schmidt, and more. So yeah, that sounds like a lot of stuff. Not nearly as long as last week's Future State, but I am curious about the Bruce Wayne side of the whole Batman equation, because we got a lot of other stuff with the first Batman Future State, so this should be interesting. I don't know if there's any side stories in this one. From the looks of it doesn't say anything about that, so We'll see. Maybe that's why it's not so long. That wasn't pick of the week like a lot of future states have been. So what is pick of the week? Well, that would be this one. Avengers, Volume 8. Enter the Phoenix. Yeah. The Avengers have been great lately. And also another Jason Aaron one. So he's got 2 this week. Let's see. Who will be the all-new Phoenix? The planet-burning cosmic firebird known as the Phoenix Force has returned, and the Avengers are drawn into a globe-spanning battle for ultimate power. In the distant past, 1 million BCE, one young girl's only crime was being born with red hair, and her destiny will change human history forever. In the present, the Phoenix Force, Jesus, searches the globe for a new avatar, and many of Marvel's most powerful heroes and villains are contenders. As the battle to wield the Phoenix grows ever bloodier and more desperate, Thor leads the Avengers in a fight to contain it. But the quest is complicated by the Thunder God's mysterious connection to the cosmic firebird. Plus, Blade pays a dark price in the fight against the King in Black. Yeah, they mentioned that, how he made some deal with the vampires. Collecting Avengers 39 through 45 by Jason Aaron, Dale Keown, Javier Garrón, Luca Maresca, Scott Hanna, Jason Keith, and David Curiel. So yeah, this one is my pick of the week because the Avengers have been great lately, and I'm really looking forward to what this will be like. So yeah, that was what we had last week. What we got coming up this week. Now we're moving on to our little third part of our videos, the question of the week. And then some music will play. Yeah, should be fine. So the question I have this week is a weird one, because it's almost an existential one. It borders on an existential one, maybe. I don't know. I'm probably not that clever. But, it's a very general one. And it's kind of a yes or no question that you gotta take the time to consider. And that question is, are heroes actually a good thing? Like in general. I know the concept of a hero seems like a good thing. And that, you know, you have someone who inspires you. Something to aspire to, maybe. Although in the case of superheroes, they live in such an unrealistic world, it's something that's impossible to aspire to. But that doesn't mean they can't inspire in some way. Like, not all heroes are inspirational, but some are. Like, Superman or Captain America are people who try to represent very wholesome, sometimes even old-fashioned values of trying to live a better life and be a better person. Even some of the more anti-hero types, you can say, you know, represent something good. They represent that even if you're not necessarily the best of people, you don't have the best temperament, or you're not exactly the nicest character, it doesn't mean that you still can't do good, or still can't try to do good. Or it represents that sometimes you even need a harsh hand to handle bad situations. Pardon me. But actually that part kind of brings me to why I'm asking this. Like, are they a good thing? Because when you put too much weight on somebody, when you put too much honor on somebody, when you look up to them too much, you have a tendency to let them get away with things that maybe you shouldn't. We see that a lot in our own society nowadays. You know, where we let our leaders, because they think they're good, we think they're good, or, you know, there's so many people that they're just talkers. They just talk for people, or they speak to people in such a way, or they inspire them to certain things. And these things might actually be good, but then people end up just blindly following these people. And just because somebody said the right thing doesn't mean they have all the fucking answers. Or, in the case of, like, we put a lot of honor on soldiers and cops. Just sort of a blanket honor because they wear the uniform. And it's not to say that they don't do hard jobs or accomplish important things, but that doesn't mean they're all good people who are deserving of that honor. That doesn't mean they can't abuse the power and respectability that's handed to them. But getting back to, heroes in comic books, the heroes in comic books are kind of glorified versions of that. They're kind of like, once upon a time, superheroes used to represent a more radical thing, believe it or not. Like, there was a time where Superman, before he was the super powerful being he is now, he was represented in comic books as not being quite as powerful. They added more powers to him over the years. But in his original form, he was still pretty powerful, and he was very much a socialist who fought for the little guy. He fought against our standard corporate system. You have to remember, a lot of these comic books are created at the tail end of the Depression era, where a lot of people were not so enchanted with our capitalist system because they saw it fuck them in the ass. They saw that one aspect of our capitalism crumbled and everyone paid the price for it. So there's a lot of people, it's not hard to see that, things like socialism and communism really started to spread during this time because you saw capitalism, it wasn't working for people. And surprise, surprise, there's very similar things going on nowadays too. But nowadays, a lot of heroes just fight for the status quo. And a lot of people kind of feel that things need to change. So my point is what makes the hero good? Because most heroes aren't appointed, they aren't elected. They haven't really been chosen by the people to do things. So it's kind of like the issue that cops deal with sometimes, that if you lose the will of the people, what the hell are you representing? If you're representing for the good of society, based on who? Based on what you say because you drive around and have a gun and have the authority to use it? It's a similar thing with superheroes. What gives you the right to police like that? Because you're just so powerful? Is that all it is? Might makes right? Because if that's the case, then what's the difference between a villain who wants to take over the world? Just because he lost? If he won, then he's the hero, right? What's the morality that separates the two? Because if it's very abstract concepts like kindness and justice and fairness, well, what does that mean? Because life isn't fair, and justice fails constantly. Kindness sounds good, but, some people don't deserve it. Some people go out of their way to not deserve it. And sometimes it's hard to give it. Sometimes a day and the people you've encountered in it wear on you so much you just don't have any more in you. Damn it. You just don't have any more in you. And if you're just having a bad day, does that make you a villain? We write off people so quickly nowadays. And I'm talking about in the real world. Superheroes have a very judgmental thing to them that it can almost be seen as, what you might quote unquote consider conservative thinking of just maintaining the status quo and just maintaining the peace of society at all costs, even if you're wronging people. My point is, if you have to wrong people to make society right, you're not doing right. It's like multiplying something by 0. Doesn't matter how big the other number is, it's still 0. The right is any other number. The wrong is the 0. So if you multiply any right by that wrong, it's just wrong. That's how it works. Right has to make right. Like I said, this is a very abstract conversation, but my point is, are heroes good? I mean, they've dealt with this in comic books about how superheroes often wreck things and destroy cities and destroy property and fuck up people's lives, and it's like, why couldn't you be doing better? Like, why didn't you think better than to not do this in a populated area? Why didn't you take this somewhere else at least? Like, why are you centered in New York City? Although, to be fair, the Avengers aren't centered in New York City. A lot of superheroes now are located in more remote locations, which is smart, because it's like, you shouldn't have these places in populated cities where people are just going to come to attack you. That's very stupid. But yeah, it just... I thought I was going to say something else. I can't remember what it was I was going to say. It was before I talked about, you fight in populated cities. There's also comic books like Civil War, where Captain America just decided to take on what was right, for what he deemed to be right versus what the government deemed to be right. But either way you look at it, it's just like, well, can one man just decide what's right for the country? But also, can the government just try to take control of a certain group of people? It's like, that's just two wrongs, and it goes back to the whole might versus right argument. Ultimately, it has to be what the people want. But even then, it's like, is that what everybody wants, or is that what most people want? Because we've definitely seen majorities beat up on minorities, so do you want heroes just being the police of majorities? So I guess it's not only a question of, like, are heroes good, but the question is, what is a hero? I guess it's a person who just tries to do the best they can for the world around them. I guess it's a person who doesn't have any honest maliciousness in their heart. But how often does that come along? And even if somebody said that was what they were, would you really trust it? I'm not sure I would. But then again, you do need somebody to inspire. You do need somebody that supports positivity, positive thinking that, Lord knows, I don't have a lot of. So I guess, despite all my complaints, is that ultimately heroes are a good thing. As long as they know to toe the line, they actually are heroes. If they really are heroes, if they really believe in doing good, and if they keep that good simple and just helping people, using the abilities they have to help people, not looking to go around and judge and keep people low and decide who's better and who's worse, just deciding that, if you can help somebody, you're going to help them because that's the right thing to do, and heroes do the right thing. So, yeah, I guess that is my point. Heroes are good, with, the little asterisk that they actually are heroes. If they're actually heroes, then yeah, they're a good thing. But that's my opinion on the subject. What do you think? That discussion got a little weird. I think the question will be a little bit more specific next time. But that's next week. I'll see you then. So that's what I'm reading this week, and what are you reading? And whatever it is, I hope you enjoy your reading. Have a good one.